Black Ops 1 is almost a 20-year-old game at this point, and they just decided to drop a port of it for PS5, and I've already sunk a decent amount of hours into it, so we're about to find out how it stacks up to the modern CODs that they've released in the last couple of years. They just kind of dropped this out of nowhere, and if you have PlayStation Plus, it's $20 plus another $10 for the season pass with all the DLC. So if you want the whole package, it's about $30 in total if you have PlayStation Plus. And since it's just a port, it's basically the game exactly as it released in 2010. There hasn't been any graphical enhancements. There hasn't really been any add-ons. It's just the game as it released back then. It runs well. I haven't had any server crashes. I haven't had a ton of lag. Every once in a while there's a little bit of lag, but so far, at least for me, it's been running really well. I haven't had any problems with hackers or cheaters, which I hear in the Xbox version is really bad, which I'm assuming is why they dropped this port, because I hear the Xbox version just has a ton of hackers and cheaters and it makes the game unplayable. So I haven't run into any problems with it so far. So if you're like me and you haven't played this game in a long time, or you've never played it at all, I'm telling you right now, there is going to be a big adjustment period with this game. Not just in terms of Call of Duty games, but just in terms of modern multiplayer shooters in general. One of the first things I noticed was just movement speed. I think modern FPS games have gotten to the point where we're so used to just moving at lightning speed at all times that going back to an older game where the movement is just so much slower and you don't have unlimited sprint is a little bit of an adjustment. Not necessarily a bad thing. I still think the movement works really well. It's just that in COD games since this came out, there's been all kinds of crazy stuff, like being able to do these crazy high double jumps, run on walls, sprinting at lightning speed, sliding around like you're in the MLB, that I think a lot of people are going to be taken back by that, especially if you've just never played older COD games or older FPS games. You're definitely going to be surprised by how slow things move. But the time to kill seems to balance it out because it's just so fast that if you move too quick around the map, you're just going to get lasered immediately. But I think that's what makes older Call of Duty games a lot better than the new ones, because they incentivize finding the best flanking routes or choke points on the map. That way you can take better advantage of them. It doesn't really come down to who's faster on the draw. I mean, it does to some extent, but one of the things I forgot about this game is how limited weapon customization is compared to the newer titles. Again, it's not a bad thing. It's just most weapon attachments are optics or like an underbarrel grenade launcher, a master key. You even get a flamethrower, which I totally forgot about, which is cool. But aside from foregrips and rapid fire on a handful of weapons in the game, there's not a ton of attachments that really change how the weapon itself functions. So there's not like a stock you can put on that makes you move faster while you're aiming down the sights. There's not like a pistol grip that's going to make you ADS faster like in newer games. But I think the arsenal of weapons you get in this game just makes up for the lack of weapon customization. I mean, I would argue this game probably has one of the most iconic arsenals in any FPS game. I mean, you're talking about the Galil, MP5K, AK-74U, the AUG, the Commando. I mean, there's an entire generation of people that got into guns and firearms just because of this game. I'll be scrolling through Instagram nowadays and I'll see people trying to recreate like the Commando build or the AUG AK-74U builds. And even for how old this game is, I mean, the sound design is great. Weapons sound like they have a lot of power to them. The reload animations are awesome. Each weapon has a ton of recoil, so it feels really realistic. Whereas I feel like modern Call of Duty games and just FPS games in general, we're so used to having these crazy gunsmith systems where you can just build out weapons any way you want, which is cool. But when you can build a rifle to the point where it has no recoil and you can just laser people with it, it kind of takes away the fun. But it's refreshing going back to an older Call of Duty game where the creative class system was just really bare bones, so I don't have to spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes building out the weapon that I want. I can just slap one attachment on there and call it good. I think one thing a lot of people can agree on is that Black Ops 1 probably had the best maps in the franchise. I mean, we're talking maps that have been remastered in almost every Black Ops game. You got Nuketown, Jungle, Firing Range, WMD, Array. And the big reason I think a lot of them are so well remembered and they've been remastered so many times is that most of them have that old school kind of 3-lane design where you've got like a route right up the middle you can go, you have like flanking routes on the sides and plenty of cover and like little alleyways or buildings in between that you can maneuver through, take cover through. They play really well, and that there's so many different ways to play them that there's just an endless amount of replayability. And it's not just the layout of the maps themselves, it's just the aesthetic that this game has for the maps that I think really makes them shine. That's something I think Black Ops does a lot better than Modern Warfare just in general. Across all the Black Ops games, the maps tend to be more colorful, they have a lot more personality, and they're just a lot more fun to play on just because they look so good. I mean, Firing Range is like a military training facility that takes place on a tropical island. Jungle is like you're fighting through the lush green jungles of Vietnam. Havana's fighting through the colorful streets of, Cuba. Summit takes place on a snowy mountaintop. It's like a radar facility. It just looks really cool. Kowloon takes place on the rooftops of a city. There's like a giant plane that flies overhead at the beginning of the match. There's neon lights everywhere. But every map just looks so good and it's so atmospheric that they just never get old to play on. It never gets old seeing that plane fly over in Kowloon or seeing the bomb go off in Nuketown, it never gets old. And that's something I wish more FPS games could pull off. I mean, look at the new Modern Warfare trilogy. Every map is like a rundown industrial area or just like an abandoned, gross desert town. It's like I'm getting depressed just playing this game because the maps look so gross. They're so boring. And I get that there's probably a lot of people out there who are going to argue that, oh, well, the new Modern Warfare trilogy is more realistic, more grounded in reality, so that's why the maps look that way, because it's like you're in a war zone or whatever. But it's not fun. It's just not as aesthetically pleasing to look at, and it takes away from the experience of the game. Another really nice thing about playing an older Call of Duty game is the lack of a battle pass or just crazy cosmetic skins and camos that are in the game. I mean, this is before a battle pass even really existed in video games, so all the cosmetics when it comes to weapons or just the player models are all just more grounded in reality and more authentic to the time period of the game, which takes place in the 60s. So the game has that like Cold War aesthetic, like spy thriller to it. Everyone is on a level playing field because no one has any crazy overpowered variants of weapons that they got through a battle pass, and you're not going to be killed by Peter Griffin or Roger from American Dad. So it's kind of nice just to play a FPS game that's just normal and not like over the top cartoonish and crazy. I mean, some people like that, and if you like that, more power to you, I guess. But I think the vast majority of people just want to play a normal ass grounded FPS game. I mean, if you're a newer player and the only Call of Duty games you've played are Call of Duty games with like those crazy cosmetics, and I think this is a great chance to get into an older game where you don't have to worry about that at all. And as far as zombies goes, Black Ops 1 is probably my personal favorite. This is the game that gave us Kino, Moon, Ascension, some really classic zombies maps that, just like the multiplayer maps, were brought back into later games. But my absolute favorite is 5. 5 is a zombies map where you play as Cold War era leaders. You got JFK, Castro, Robert McNamara, Nixon, and you're all in the Pentagon fighting zombies inside of the Pentagon. It's just so much fun. All the voice lines are hilarious. I mean, the weapons are great, except for the I think it's called the Wolf's How. It's like a freeze gun. I wasn't really a big fan of that, and the Pentagon Thief kind of sucks, but just the map itself is just so fun. They even brought back the zombies maps from World at War, but with the arsenal from Black Ops, and that was a really fun addition. But just like multiplayer, zombies kind of follows that less is more formula. There's no gobble gums, there's no zombies specific camos to unlock. None of the progress you make in zombies is correlated to multiplayer at all, so they're completely separate. And some people might like that, some people might not like that. But this is back when zombies was a lot more stripped down. It was just mostly focused on just round-based survival, and some maps had those Easter eggs you could unlock. It just depends. I just think after Black Ops 2, zombies really started to fall off, and me personally, I started losing interest in it, especially in the newer games where the characters you're playing as in zombies are just the characters you play as in multiplayer. And I never understood why they did that. Maybe they just got lazy and they didn't want to make original characters anymore, but it just doesn't feel like it has any soul anymore. Every zombies map in this feels unique, has a unique setting. It has the original crew from the World at War zombies, which is great, but you know, every map usually has a unique weapon, you know, unique gimmicks to it, and it just makes the game so much more fun instead of just having these kind of boring, drawn-out zombies maps that we have now. But with the DLC zombies maps included, there's so much variety here that I don't think you'll ever get bored with just the amount of replayability you're gonna have. I mean, I could just play Moon, Ascension, 5, and Kino, and I would be fine, but then you still have a bunch of other maps you can choose from. But since this port has dropped, I've just seen people on social media just constantly talking about it, which is hilarious because they announced the new Modern Warfare game like a few months ago, and no one's talking about it. People are just shitting on that game and saying how horrible it looks, and I'm right there with them. I mean, it just looks like every other Call of Duty game they've released in the last few years, so it's kind of funny how people are just clowning on that, but everyone's talking about Black Ops 1 and 2, you know, games that are almost 20 years old. And rightfully so. I think if they chose any Call of Duty games to remaster, Black Ops 1 and 2 were probably the best choices, just because those games are so beloved. And it's crazy, having played a handful of the Call of Duty games that have came out in the past, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, and then going back and playing Black Ops 1, it's more fun playing Black Ops 1 than is playing the new ones by leaps and bounds more fun. And I think it's because it is just a better game, and it plays better than the new ones. I mean, this is a time in video games before, you know, the corporatization of everything, where the main goal of video games now is to shove microtransactions down your throat. Because unfortunately now, video games are mainly controlled by limp-dick corporate losers who have no creativity. And just like everything else in modern America, their main goal is to exploit people and make as much money as humanly possible while simultaneously charging you more for a objectively worse product. And nothing is gonna change. I mean, they're still gonna do it because for some reason, even the new Call of Duty games, even though they're just objectively ass, just still make these companies tons of money. So until people stop buying the newer Call of Duty games, nothing's gonna change. Who knows? Maybe they'll see how well these ports did. I don't know how much these have sold, but I imagine they must have sold pretty well, because I jump on Black Ops 1 and I'm getting in multiplayer matches pretty much immediately. Even playing newer Call of Duty games, it takes me a while, but Black Ops 1, I'm getting into matches immediately, so it must have sold pretty well. And I would imagine they see how successful these ports are, and I would bet money they're probably going to do the same thing with the OG Modern Warfare trilogy. And I would rather pay $30 for a game that I know for a fact is going to be great than shell out $70, even $80 for a game that I haven't played yet that I know is probably going to be asked because it's just going to be the exact same game they've made the last few years that's just filled with microtransactions and over-the-top cartoony garbage. But I would definitely recommend the Black Ops 1 port. I've been having a lot of fun with it, and I'm going to continue to have fun with it. I haven't played the Black Ops 2 one yet, so I can't speak on it, but I will get it and I'll sink some hours into it, and then I'm going to make the same video for Black Ops 2, and I'll let you guys know how I feel about it. But keep an eye out for that video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It definitely helps the channel grow, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Okay, later.